Alright, so what I decided to do is I can't get over just how unexciting these drums are to look at. So went online, doing a lot of research, and I've decided that I'm going to rewrap them. I'm going to rewrap them. I'm going to give them new hardware. I'm going to make them look really sharp before I put the triggers in and get them all set up. So I'm going to make a video of the process of taking the hardware off, putting the wraps on, all of that. So drum updates coming late. Alright, so I'm at the point now where I got all the hardware off of the drums. You can see this was already starting to come off. The only thing I have to do is I need to take out the grommets for the air holes. Then I got to get a heat gun, and I got to heat up the seams and take the old wraps off, and then start getting everything ready to put the new wraps on. It's coming off, slowly but surely. Alright, so I got all the old wrap off. I got the grommets out of the air holes. The drums are pretty much ready now for the rewrapping. So I will order the wrap that I'm looking at. I'm going to go with some new hardware. I have an idea. I think it's going to look pretty sharp when I'm done with it. So this is where we're at right now. Alright, so it's starting to get kind of kooky with these drums. I'm so indecisive about what I want to do. After much more research, and you know I like to use that word, research, I've decided instead of going with a wrap, I'm going to take a stab at staining the drums with a nice stain and putting a polyurethane clear coat, or like 8 or 9 coats over it from what one guy did. A lot of guys on YouTube were using that Minwax. I went to Home Depot and I got this Varathane. I asked him, I said, you know, what's the difference there? That's just a different name brand, so I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to go with this Barn Red and do a polyurethane coat over it. And as far as the hardware goes, I got some kooky ideas for the hardware, but we'll talk about that later. So I just wanted to give an update that I'm going to stain the drums and polyurethane them and see how they turn out. Right now I'm going to sand them down real with like a 400 grit sandpaper to get them real nice and ready for the stain. And I may or may not be cutting down the toms because I'm using this for an electronic drum set, so I'm not really worried about what these drums sound like. More of, I figure if I cut them down a little bit, they'll be easier to maneuver or whatever, put them wherever I want them, whatever. I may or may not do that. It's all going to depend on when I get to that point. But right now I'm going to sand down the drums. I'm going to tape off the bass drum because I'm not cutting down the bass drum. So I'm going to tape off the bass drum and then I'm going to start staining the bass drum. And I've never done this before. I've just watched a lot of videos. So I'm going to give it a shot. I'm a guitar player. What am I doing messing around with these drums? Drummers and bass players are on what I like to call team don't matter. Yeah, I know. It's just a joke I have with my friends. So, alright, I'm going to get cracking on this stuff. So I just wanted to give an update of, I got the bass drum sanded down. I got the outer edges taped up. I'm going to tape up the holes on the inside so nothing leaks through. And I made this kooky little jig thing here. I had some wood lying around and give me something, so when I'm doing it, you know, just like that. So there it is, Kooky Little Jake, and getting ready to tape up the inside holes, and then I'm going to start staining it. So there we go. Okay, I just started this one, and I did a test with just the stain by itself, and what I ended up doing is I saw some guy do a 50-50 mix with the stain and mineral spirits, so that's what I did, and I'm kind of digging the lighter red color. So I'm just like I said, I've never done this before, so I'm just kind of winging it. I'm going with the grain and against the grain. So I'm kind of digging the color, you know, it's a color. I mean, I'm anxious to see how things are going to pop once I put the polyurethane on, but here I see I got some troubles. I know I should have used wood filler maybe to fill in some of these imperfections, but you know, it's a cheap drum set, and I just wanted to kind of get started, get my hands on doing some stuff. And you know, it's going to turn out the way it's going to turn out. Check back with you later. Alright, now I'm going to start getting ready to do the floor tom. I don't know if you can see in the back there, I got the red. Let's see if I, right there. Yeah, right there you can see the red on the bass drum. I don't know, I had little problems with that bass drum, little particles and such. I don't know if that's because I should have used wood filler. There are some blemishes. You know, this is old beat up Pearl Export kit, and I bought cheap, like right here. I don't know if that's what, if I should put wood filler in there, but I'm just gonna keep going with it and see how things turn out once I start applying the urethane. So on to the floor tom. All right, I just finished the floor tom. This one went a little faster. After I did the first one, I kind of got used to what I was doing. This one went a little faster. I'm going to pull this one off, and I'm itching to get a coat of polyurethane on the bass drum. So I'm going to pull this one off, set it to the side, bring the bass drum over here, give it a coat of the polyurethane, and see what happens. So progress. Alright, here's where we're at. It's getting to be kooky again. Kooky Netty stands. It's kooky ideas. I'm not digging this red. I'm not digging the way I did it. I'm gonna start from scratch. I went with a stain that just says natural. I want the drums to be lighter because I have an idea with the hardware of what I want that to be. So I'm going to, I'm actually going to put these two drums aside and start on one of the other toms with the new stain. I'm also going to be using a pre-stain conditioner, which I saw. I'm doing a little research, my favorite word, and I'm going to do the pre-stain. I'm going to sand them down using 220 grit. Then I'm going to do the pre-stain conditioner. Then I'm going to stain it and see how it turns out with the natural colored stain, it's called. So we'll see what happens.
Here's some more information to share on Dante Box.
Alright, here we are. This is the tom that I had done in the red. And if anything, I'm getting really good at sanding. So it's in pretty bad shape. I mean, you can see some of the ply, the secondary whatever ply coming through. I'm not going to worry about it. This is just for me, my electronic kit conversion, whatever. So I just wanted to. I got those three that have been I used the pre-stain conditioner, and then I stained those 3 toms over there. And now I'm just going to do the pre-stain on this, and then I'm going to start staining this one, and then move on to the bass drum. Alright, there's the pre-stain conditioner. It actually looks cool like that to me. I'm going to put a coat of stain on it. I'm just using the natural stain. And then I got an idea of using that red stain that I used yesterday. I got an idea maybe to use that for some kind of a kooky design. We'll see. Alright, I got the small tom. Varnish, the stain is dry. And I'm going to try and do something kind of a kooky pattern with some different colors. My biggest concern is, and I'm pretty sure it's going to happen, is I'm going to tape it off, you know, and then when I put another colored stain on there, I'm pretty sure it's going to bleed under the tape, but I really don't care at this point. I just want to try some kooky stuff and see how it turns out, so we'll check back later. Alright, I just wanted to give an update. You know, I've been watching tons of videos, how to do this, how to do this. So I just stained this floor tom yesterday, and I didn't do this with the other drums, but I'm going to do this from now on. I'm getting ready to tape off the edges like I did those toms, because I'm going to add a different color stain, and then I'm going to tape that off, and I'm going to add a third color stain. We'll see how it turns out. But in between the stain process, what I did is I just lightly took a 400 grit sandpaper and just kind of smoothed it over and got all the little, you know, after you stain the wood, you know, you can feel that it's got imperfections or whatever. So I took a 400 grit sandpaper and I went over it real lightly, and then I took some mineral spirits and I just sprayed it real lightly around the drum and wiped it all off, get it nice and clean. Now I'm going to tape this off, and I'm going to add the second stain that's a different color. And then when I'm going to move on to those drums, which I wish I would have did that to those drums, but I didn't, but I can continue moving forward doing it. I'm going to do the same thing like I did with this one. I'm going to lightly sand. I'm going to lightly sand this stain, and then I'm going to put a second coat of this color stain here in the middle. These edge parts is basically just the natural color, and I didn't do the sanding on that. So once I get all the stain done and I take the tape off, I can go over it, you know, and give it a light sanding. It should be fine. And then, you know, move on to the polyurethane process. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. Alright. These drums aren't turning out the way I was hoping. I went with 3 different stains. It looks horrible. I spent so much time on these drums, and I put a lot of effort into them, but it's not turning out. What I think I'm going to do is I'm just going to sand them down as best as I can get them. and I'm just gonna go with this dark red. Maybe thin it out with some mineral spirits, lighten it up a little bit, but I think I'm just gonna stain the drums in this red and be done with them. I'm just having a bad day. Just having a bad day. Alright, so this is what it's going to be. Red. I think it looks okay. I got some ideas with the hardware. I may or may not go through with it, I don't know, but time to sand down all the other drums and redo them all in the red and move on from there. So it's red. Alright, so here where we're at. Here is where we are at. I got the 4 toms stained red. The bass drum I just prepped. I'll be staining it next. So I took this one and I took a 400 grit sandpaper and just lightly went over it. Wiped it down with some mineral spirits. And now I'm getting ready to apply the first coat of polyurethane. And we'll just continue on with the polyurethane. I think I might be putting 8, 9, maybe 10 coats of polyurethane. We'll see how things look after I start doing it. I plan on putting a coat of polyurethane on, and then I'll probably go over that lightly with a 400 grit, and then keep doing that. A coat of polyurethane, lightly go over it. Coat, go over all that. So we'll check back and see how things progress. All right, drums, and more drums. I'm kind of over this already. So I'm getting ready to put the 9th coat on this floor tom and the 9th coat on the bass drum. The 3 mounted toms are getting their 10th coat of polyurethane today, and that's it. I'm stopping. I'm stopping after 10 coats. I watched some YouTube video of a guy who did 10 coats. I figured, okay, that's what you do, 10 coats, 10 coats. So I'll finish the 10 coats on the 3 mounted toms today. Tomorrow I'll finish the 10th coat on the floor tom and the bass drum. And then I guess I'm gonna let them cure for 2 weeks and do nothing with them. And then after that I'll come in with the polishing compound. And then I'm gonna, you know, I guess polish them up, and then they'll be done as far as the refinishing of these drums go. And then I had some crazy ideas of getting the hardware powder coated a different color, but I'm starting to think that, you know, I don't want to spend the money. I really thought it would look cool if I got the hardware powder coated yellow and have the yellow with the red stain, but I'm kind of over this. I just want them done now. I want to get them up and running. I mean, the main reason I got these anyhow were for recording, converting them to electronic drums. So instead of spending the money on getting the hardware powder coated, you know, that's money I can use for the triggers, and I got to get the mesh heads, and then I got to get some stands, and you know, I got to get electronic cymbals. I have to get a drum module. I think I'm going to be going with the TD30. So getting ready to put the 9th coat on the floor tom and the bass drum, final 10th coat on the mounted toms, and we'll check back in a couple of weeks when I get ready to do the final process. So, late.